So, second match. Let's see what goes on. What will happen? Again, I don't see any Lurus. I decide to keep a hand that has a one lander because if I draw the second land and he doesn't interact with me, I can go ham. I can just empty my hand very fast. Architects of Will, Living End. Not good. Obviously, we're playing our Llanowar or Elf and passing the turn. We drew the land. We also have a main deck Skoos. Actually, Devoted Druid is a card that I really love playing against Living End because in response to their Living End cast, you can actually you can do Devoted Druid's ability twice, kill Devoted Druid, and he comes back on the battlefield together with the rest of the creatures. So you have your mana dork next turn. That's why I play this one here. The reason I'm not playing Ogre of Autumn at this point is that I believe that I cannot dodge getting Living End ended. So I actually don't want him to get any important hands out of my hand. And Ogre is a very valuable tool for me in order to beat him. You see, at this point, he also saw that. Sorry. As you can see, his Colossal Sky Turtle, great addition to the deck, by the way. Their deck, not our deck. He aimed for Devoted Druid because he understood that it was a card that he should be afraid of, and he knew that I could bring it back from the graveyard. There, he fixes my top deck. Now that was a very weird choice of the opponent. I think that he played it wrong. Sorry, opponent. He didn't need to take Heritage Druid at this point. He left with two cords of calling, which means that I can go and get my Vizier, and I can go and get Azuri and finish him off. He has two cards in hand, so unless those two cards were Force of Navigation plus one blue card, he's dead. But we cannot hold back at this point. We are going all in. We're dead next turn. And this is why I play the combo part of the deck. When you think you're dead, you're actually winning. You just need one good turn. We go, we get our Azuri. I don't know if he actually knew that I could untap. And then I think they don't concede. Many times they don't concede when I'm actually doing this. And I have to click it out. So if you ever play the deck online and you want to do the Devoted Druid ability faster, you just add one mana, one green mana, as you always do. You untap, and then you press W on your keyboard and you keep it down, you keep pushing it, and you click on Devoted Druid like a maniac, and then it's adding mana pretty fast. If you don't do that, you might need to click too much in order to get the combo going, and you might get timed out. And here we go again. Maybe I should have actually just do Azuri's ability once, and they would have realized that they are dead. But after playing so many games online, I realized that people get a little bit bitter sometimes, and they will not concede, no matter what. Their pride is more important. I don't know the guy, I don't know the opponent. Don't say that this is the case by any means, but there was no reason not to just concede. That was game number one. We stole game number one against Living End. It's not a very favorable matchup at all. So I have my hopes really high that I might beat him and move on with a 2-0 to the next round. So let's see what happens next. And so we are on game number two. And let's see how it goes. This is a hand that, because of endurance, is 100% keep. Endurance, hands down, can beat living in on its own because it cannot be countered. That's the problem. For example, when you're playing Rest in Peace, they can counter the card. Endurance is a creature; it cannot. It can just get them on its own. Turn one play, basic, Elvis Mystic. We try to preserve our life total as much as possible. There's no reason to fetch anything else. We don't even know what we want to fetch. Something that haven't said so far is how I sideboard against some decks. Uh, for example, against Now Living End, I take out Grist. What definitely comes in the deck is the three endurances and the Rest in Peace, and the Void Mirror, which I actually had, is very good against them. So we have 3 plus 2, 5 spots. So Grist comes out. It's pointless. Milling cards just to get them back is not the game plan I'm going for. I'm cutting down one Heritage Druid. Yes, I know. But I really don't rely on the Heritage Druid combo. Usually I cut down on one Azuri, and I shave a little bit the rest of the combo off. I will cut one Coat of Calling and one Devoted Druid, probably. The deck was nice to us here. We drew the land that we needed, and we're ready. And now they're gonna cycle. Okay, let's go to the end step. Do you see something weird about the opponent's, let's say, lands? He doesn't have green. This is where I start making mistakes. The opponent doesn't have a green card. He doesn't have a way of casting Living End. He needs Violent Outburst or the artifact, which I don't remember right now, in order to go off. He didn't have that. So I could have been more aggressive at this point, which I didn't. I actually gave him more time to draw what he needed to get out of the situation. Actually, this game haunts me till now. Watching it on replay always gets me because I wish I could go back time in order to fix my mistakes. At this point, I have the upper hand. I have to collect the companies. I have Court of Calling. I have Endurance. There are not many things that he can do to beat me. End of his turn, you see a Breeding Pool in the graveyard. This means that the other card that he got, it was a land. And he left it there. Sorry, if you don't know the card. So he put the card, into his hand. So I know he has either, I don't know the mana base that they're playing. He's going to find his green source next turn. So from that point on, it's game on. I know that he can cast Living End at any point. And that's when everything goes wrong. What you should do in this situation is absolutely nothing. You don't do anything. You don't try to cast Endurance. You don't try to cast Collected Company. You don't try anything. If you wanted to do anything, you could try to cast Endurance, because if he has Subtlety in his hand, he would have to put it on the top of your deck, and you could cast Living End. So what I could have done here is actually pitch my card in order to cast Endurance, keep the mana up, and play on my terms, but I didn't do that. And this way, even if I didn't cast Company at this point, I could redraw my Endurance and have it for the next turn. But I decided to be greedy. I don't know why I did that. I guess I was stressed, and I decided to go in to just beat him next turn, which was wrong. I think I tried to code for the screws here. I wanted to be 100% sure I was killing him. But it was wrong. So, in response to what we're doing, he's going to violent outburst. The cards that went here. And I also say here that 3 forces of negation went to the bottom of the library, which is a good thing. Okay, he could have the 4th force of negation in his hand, but statistically speaking, I was in a very good position and I threw it all away. And I should have realized that at this point he had Solitude in his hand. Okay, sorry, the stack is in the way. Let's put it somewhere, it doesn't matter. And I concede, there's nothing I can do at this point. I threw the game away. And shall we go into game number 3? And on to game number 3 with a very, very bad mind state, because I realized that I had thrown away my chance of being 2-0, sorry. But we're here to fight and we'll continue fighting. I actually believe it's very important to be in a good mind state and be happy in order to play good Magic. If you're not in a good mind state, you're going to make more mistakes than you usually do. So, let's see. The first hand, sorry, it went a bit fast forward. The first hand, even though it had the perfect cards for the matchup, it was bad because it had no lands. This is a hand that's okay. Even though it doesn't have endurance, I don't want to go any lower. I will try to raise him. So we just play our forest on our turn. Again, Fate Trick for basic, there is no reason to deal any more damage to ourselves. We're gonna play nothing. I'll keep on fetching here in order to thin my deck. I have the Windswept Heath in hand, and if I want to cast white, if I draw Rest in Peace. But apart from that, I don't need to do much more. I'm just gonna attack with a very, very angry Llanowar Elf. Nothing. Obviously, they're gonna cycle in my turn. As soon as they get to 3 mana, that's when I should get worried. That was a very good top deck. I was very happy at that point, and I started believing that I could actually win. I fetch for white in case I draw Rest of this later on. So when I'm talking about a bad mind state, this is also what I'm talking about. The series of unfortunate events, also known as my mistakes from the previous game, carry on to this game. I'm making some absurd decisions. I didn't need to cast anything right now. Why cast Company in my turn when I can go in his turn? I had 4 mana up. I have no idea why I did it. I was pretty devastated though by the previous game. So we are exposed to a wrath, completely exposed to a living end. And I even bounced a land, thinking that I could save myself just by eating a creature, which is not the case. The rest of the matchup goes pretty poorly. There's nothing more to see here. I'm just fast forwarding the game. I am done with it. I concede. And I try to regroup myself because I have 7 more rounds to go. And nothing is over yet.